I took a stroll downtown this evening when I heard music echo through the night. So I started running so I wouldn't be too late. In the neon light, let the music go reveal through the night.
Welcome everyone to Coaching the Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the difficulty of changing your mindset, because if you think about changing the mindset, it's not as easy as saying you're going to do it. Because if it was, everyone would do their New Year's resolutions, everyone would be successful and wealthy, and everyone would be happy. But not everyone's successful and wealthy, not everyone follows their New Year's resolutions, and not everyone is happy or wealthy, whatever is last. But we have to get into a new way of thinking, right? A new mindset, right? We have to get into the mindset that's going to help bring more in our life. Not just, well, we're going to accept what the world gives us, but we need to be more ambitious and we have to go after more. And that's going to be challenging, because that initial process of going after more is where many people quit. So stay tuned if you don't want to be one of those people who quit and call it quits, and be one of those people who get to victory, get to the goal, and get to success. Because once you get there, everything else starts to fall into place. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share the podcast and our audio. Going into the challenge of the mind, we have to go look at a quote that was on my Instagram. And in this Instagram quote, it's from Zig Ziglar. He's one of the all-time motivational speakers in the world. Before you change your thinking, you have to change what goes into your mind. Now, if we break that down, before you change your thinking. Now, some people will think about mindset or think about progress, and they'll say, you know what I'm going to buy a bunch of books. That's what I need in my life. I need to buy a bunch of books. I need to read these bunch of books. I need to go to a bunch of seminars and a bunch of workshops, and I need to get my knowledge base good. But just because you go see Zig Ziglar, just because you go see Tony Robbins, just because you go see someone who's going to give you some motivation, it doesn't necessarily mean things are going to change in your life, because there's going to be a fine line between going here to get motivation and then coming home with that newfound knowledge and then putting it into play. Because many people just go read a book. Oh, that book was nice. I know what I have to do, but I'm not going to do it. That's like having a cookbook, not following the directions, and then being upset that your food tastes like crap. Do what you gotta do, I say. But before you change your thinking, so people are going to go out, get all this coaching, do all these things, but they're not willing to change your thinking. You have to change what goes into your mind. And when that is said, you have to change what goes into your mind. It's not so much of, I'm going to read more books, I'm going to go listen to more coaching in session and listen to more motivation in motion. It's not that. That is a part of it, but it's not that. Because you have to change what goes into your mind. These are your old habits. These are going to be the things that are keeping you exactly where you are right now. Whether it be your friends, your family, or yourself. You're telling yourself something that's keeping you way down. Someone is telling you something that's keeping you way down. And that's why coaching is so powerful, number one. Because regardless of what anyone says, you should have a coach that's going to be there and saying, hey, I understand that this person said this about a situation or your current circumstance. That's not going to be our reality. And we just touch the subconscious mind, and we just invoke the subconscious mind into being, okay, this is practical. We can reach it. That's all we do. And it's psychology 101, 102 maybe, but neuroplasticity, right? We just talked about that on Monday's episode. Changing the way our mind thinks, changing the patterns in our brain. Because if we don't have a good thought process, we're not going to get to our goals. Right? We have to have a good road to get to our destination. You wouldn't want to be driving around with potholes, but if you live in Connecticut, then that's going to be reality. If you live in New Jersey, that's going to be reality. If you live in New York, that's probably reality. I haven't been up there in a long time, but I'm sure they have many potholes. especially with AOC, but that doesn't matter, right? And they don't even have a good governor, but that doesn't matter, right? Whatever. So going into changing your mindset is no easy task, but having an open and positive mindset is a game changer. So this is Veggie Lover 77 replying to this post that I had posted. Changing your mindset is no easy task, but having an open and positive mindset is a game changer. So we can have a game changer by just opening our mind, by having a more positive mind. And my grandma had told me this. She had said, if you can look at positive or point into a positive direction, the outcome is going to be positive. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean all the time it's going to be positive, right? Because we can have a positive, optimistic outlook on things and things don't go our way. So what do we do if that happens? Do we just shun the way of thinking and we say, you know what, this is not going to work for me? And then we just get upset and we move on. No, we can't do that. And then Veggie Lover 77 goes on to say, your personal growth is what propels the choices you make for your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Just something as simple as changing your thinking can change your life. Make sure to give Veggie Lover 77 some love with a follow. She's not a sponsor or anything. She's just a follower of mine on Instagram, and she dropped some wisdom for all of y'all. So going into what she said, going into the challenge of changing your mindset, we have to look back at a journey. And let's look at my journey. Let's dissect what I went through. So high school was my first rendition of a mindset journey. And then it kept evolving more in college, where I was starting to get to a new and stronger mindset. And then after college, when I was a teacher, it was almost perfect at that point. And not saying that my mindset is perfect and I don't need to change it, but it was going to be in a really good place, like a super strong place for me. Because where I was in high school, totally different. And I don't have my yearbooks, but they're up in Connecticut with my mom. So when I go to my mom's house, I have to remember to bring those down so I can show you like pictures of who I was in freshman year and then senior year. Of course, 4 years will make a difference. But I think my senior year, because they always put a little thing underneath your picture of like class clown, most changed or whatever, I got most changed. And it wasn't because of my looks necessarily, right? I think my freshman year I was a little bit chubby because my mom was trying to feed me at McDonald's to get me fat. But we are looking at the senior year, right? So very handsome, had longer hair. I think it had like some box braids and I had cornrows in my hair. I was a cool cat, still am. We have to get into the most change aspect, right? So from 4 years, I was able to change. But it just wasn't the change of me going from freshman to senior. It was my whole personality, my whole demeanor. Everything had changed. My confidence from down here skyrocketed all the way to the sky. I did a few things like getting in shape that helped with confidence, having good clothes that helped with confidence. But those are all superficial things, right? Those are going to be appealing to the eye. In a sense, I think I wrote a blog on this. I didn't talk about it in a podcast, but if I did, it would be very brief. The idea or the concept of body armor. And I'm not talking about Safe Life Defense body armor. I'm talking about the conceptual body armor we give our brain. And that's going to be, we feel secure, we feel strong, we feel confident. If you take a shower, for example, maybe you put on some perfume, you're going to smell good, right? And when you go out, and let's say you are a guy and you use some nice smelling soap and you go out, maybe put a little bit of cologne on, not too much. You don't want to be overbearing now. You go out and then you see a girl that you fancy. So you walk over to her, but you don't want to talk to her because you're trying to play cool and you're just taking it easy, taking it slow, just trying to test the waters, right? You walk over, just walk by a little bit faster, and then she has the ability to say, oh, wow, I like your cologne. Oh, well, thank you. And then you can have a conversation. You are confident just by taking a shower, putting on some cologne. Now, of course, there's going to be other aspects to that. She might not say she likes her cologne because maybe she doesn't. But the idea is small changes like that can help change your demeanor, right? So your structure, how you operate. So now understanding that can be mindset, body armor, right? What I do, I'm wearing a nice outfit, I'm wearing a suit and tie. You feel more confident when you're dressed up. You feel good, which you should. Ladies are always going out wearing makeup, typically dress very nice. Sometimes they don't and they have a bonnet on, but that's fine. They can have a bonnet on. They can go out in sweats and they don't have to look good all the time, because sometimes it's not only about on the outside, it's about what's on the inside too. But we're talking about the idea of body armor. So now if you go out and you look good, you're going to feel confident, right? You're going to feel good. Guys are going to want to come up talk to you. You got makeup on, you're smelling nice, so you're more attractive. And it's not that you need the makeup in order to get guys to come up and talk to you, but guys are very visual. So if they see something they like, they're going to go get it. So if you can appease their visual aspects of what they like, then you're going to get more guys to come up to you. Now, of course, if you don't, at the same time, yeah, you'll still get guys to come up to you, but it's going to be at a lower margin. So getting back to my journey for mindset from high school to college to the workforce and to where I am today. It's a long journey, right? But to make it quick as possible, in high school, I was very shy and was just kind of to myself. Then I was like, you know what? Let's spice it up, right? Let's be a little bit more outgoing. Let's be more charismatic. And that's what I did. And from there, everything was just smooth sailing, because that just carried on into college. And in college, I started playing an instrument, playing guitar, president of the music club, had a lot of fun doing that too. But that was able to happen because I had confidence in high school, because I don't know if I would go on stage and simply play guitar for, a whole crowd of college students, because if I wasn't confident, I don't think I would want to do that. I would have so much self-doubt in my way of thinking and it wouldn't be beneficial. But I just went on stage like I owned the place, like I owned it, and I owned what I did, right? So it's just a different type of mindset. What I've noticed, men possibly, could be women too, dealing with the ego. Now, the ego is a good and a bad thing. I have a blog on it about the ego. If not, it's going to be my first book. The ego was something I had to deal with from my high school to college. And that was the whole mindset shift, right? Because how do I utilize the ego? Because the ego is a good and bad thing. You want to utilize it to help you get to a stronger mindset, but at the same time, you don't want it to be the reason why you fail. Because sometimes people have this overbearing, arrogant ego that is negative actually, but to them it feels positive. So we have to understand that, especially for, again, high school, college people that didn't do any work on their ego. So that's one of the first things I work with people who are younger, whether they're in high school or college, who work on the ego. If they don't have an ego, great. We are already one step ahead. Now, the next step is going to be dealing with, well, what do we want? I can't tell you how many times I ask people what do they want, and they don't know. They go, well, I just want to have a good life and be able to buy my mom a house and all of these things that are already givens, right? These are just goals that we know are going to be given, but people don't know what they want. Well, then I ask them what they don't want in their life. And they'll say, well, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to have to work every day of my life, right? So they know some things that they don't want either, but none of them are necessarily about mindset. They're just all things that they don't want to have in their life. Why don't they say things like, well, I don't want to have a weak mindset. I don't want to have to depend on people for my happiness. Those questions are more powerful than just being worried about something. Because if we're just worried about things in our life, guess what happens? We're just going to be worried about those things in our life, and we're not necessarily going to make any moves because we're so worried about everything. If we focus on negative, we get negative. So we're worried about all these things that didn't even happen yet. Why not worry about what are the possibilities? And then if they don't happen, we don't get upset that they don't happen. We take some time and we say, you know what? This didn't work out in my favor because I'm not doing something right. Because if I was doing things right, things would go in my favor. And this is not the universe speaking. This is not the law of attraction or affirmations. This is our own process, because if you're doing the right thing, you're going to get the results. The results follow. Similar to gym and fitness. You go to the gym religiously, you eat well, you get a healthy body. Same thing with the mind. If you put good things in your mind, you are going to be more positive. So just allowing your mind to shift through what's good and what's bad is going to be one of your most powerful tools. That was one of the things that I had to learn in high school and college. What type of things were going to be good for me? I had to get rid of so many people in my life, and I still get rid of people to this day. People will go through their course in my life, and then we grow apart. And it's not that I'm upset with them or they're doing something wrong. It's just that if we're in a different place, I don't want to stay in the place that you're in just for the sake of being friends or being buddies. I have bigger aspirations. And as my dreams go and as I reach more goals in my life, things change. However, I do have rules in place that I have to follow, but those rules are not something that are going to be roadblocks or they're going to be anchors. They're actually things that are going to be more beneficial, and they're going to keep me honest, keep me down to earth. Because arrogance is going to be one of the destroyers of the mind. Many people reach great fame, great success, and they go on drugs, start drinking, right? Their whole life is ruined. And it's going to be because their mind is just taking in all that negativity, all that drama, all the things it doesn't like. And then now it's weighing heavy, and you're looking for a quick out, a quick fix. You're looking for a remedy. And most people would, take to a substance and they abuse it. So we don't need that, right? We don't need to get into that habit of abusing something, whether it be drug, alcohol, people. We want to have a mindset that's going to be powerful in its own regard. But that process is not easy. And the reason I say that is because when I was in high school, when I was in college, and then later on, I didn't have to break it all down. But from high school to college, I had to basically dismantle my whole mind and just say, this is no good. I have to start from scratch. And when you do that, it's difficult to explain, but the best way I can explain this is you feel totally lost. You just feel lost because everything you have believed is now gone. And it's not that what you have learned is bad. It's just that I decided to start on a new blank canvas, and I got rid of everything. And from there, I was able to pick and choose. Just like if you go to the grocery store and you go to the fruit section, you get to choose what fruits you want to put in your bag. Now, of course, if you get a container of fruit like strawberries, blueberries, you're not going to be there picking individual blueberries. And if you are, you're probably crazy. But you want to just pick apples or pears or peaches, right? Something simple. You get a little plastic baggie. If it's not in an individual container already, then you put it into a baggie, right? We're just moving along being adults. So now that we are able to pick our apple, we get to look, see if everything looks good. There's no holes. There's no worms inside. There's just the apple. It looks good. It looks delicious. Boom, in the bag, right? We picked that, right? So that was the mindset I was going after. What am I going to choose? And there was times when I would choose things, right? And I would say, oh, this would be good. This would be good. This would be good. And then we test it out, right? Oh, that wasn't good. So we go back and we say, okay, well, let's try it again. And we keep finding the right mixture, the right concoction. I'm sure if you ever been a baker, you try to figure out the best mix for something, whether it be pancakes, waffles, brownies. It doesn't necessarily matter what you're making, but you have multiple attempts at making the same thing and how you can make it the utmost best item. I did that for waffles. I have a waffle maker and I was like, I want to make the best waffles. How do I make the best waffles? And I went to Google, of course, and I said, well, how do we make the best waffles? Everyone says, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm like, okay, let me figure it out. And then I started making different types of waffles. Now, the things I wanted to do with my waffles is I wanted to make protein waffles. Because if I'm going to be eating a waffle, I need to be getting some more protein in it either way. So now that I have these protein waffle mix, I'm trying first batch, check them out. first batch is going to be the first batch, right? We don't have anything to judge it against, right? Compare it to. So the second batch came out better than the first. And every single time I'm done with each batch, I say, what can I do to make the second or next batch better? So the first time I was like, I need to add more sugar, and I had the exact measurements per item. So whether it be the flour, the extract, the egg, whatever I put in there, I had the exact measurement, how many items per, except chocolate chips. If I did chocolate chips, it was just boom, right? Chocolate chips in the waffles. What I learned through that process is every time I was making those waffles, it was getting better and better and better until I got to a point where I was like, well, these are really good. And I said to myself, well, I can stop here and keep these really good waffles, or I can keep on trying to make it better. The next batch, it was batch number 4. They were even worse than batch number 3. It was because I kept trying to do something different. Now you might be thinking, well, do I not go to batch number 4? No, you go to batch number 4. Because the process of mindset is not only getting to a good mindset, but figuring out what doesn't work. So when I was doing batch 4, I was doing something different. I wasn't just doing the same thing, because there wasn't much modifications I could do. But I was like, well, let me figure out if I wanted to add more protein or if I wanted to add less sugar. I wanted to figure out, okay, can I make these even more healthy? Now, of course, the 4th batch was more healthy, but at the same time, the taste and the quality wasn't the same as 3. So what did I do? I said, okay, well, I can have a compromise where I can say I can have these delicious waffles or these super healthy waffles, right? And for me, I just found like a middle ground where it's between the two, and that was where I stayed. I don't have the best waffles. I don't have the most healthy waffles, but I have a combo of them, a hybrid. So that's what I decided. But I could have simply said, well, I don't want the healthy waffles, or I don't want the good waffles. And when we're going with our mindset, we are going to be thinking in the same manner. We can say, well, I want this way of thinking. I don't want this way of thinking. Or if you have this way of thinking and you realize it's not necessarily good, you can change it, right? Just how if you're not happy where you are in your life, you can change it. And many people don't realize that sometimes. Many people just think, well, I'm here and I can't change my current circumstances. Things are so hard. You don't understand. I do understand. Just how I had my own journey, I understand you have your own journey. And I understand that you have your own traumas. I understand you have your own difficulties. And I'm not saying that I can walk in your shoes the same way you can walk in your shoes. I would not want anyone to walk in my shoes, just because of the sheer amount of challenges that I have to go through every single day, the amount of stress that I have to deal with. And though I make it look effortless, if you had to walk in my shoes, it's going to be a challenge for most people, for many people. And I'm not saying that I can't walk in your shoes or I can walk in your shoes. It's just that everyone has a different journey. Just because they have a different journey doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, right? But then understanding your journey is your journey. But changing that type of mindset, changing the way you think, that's going to be dependent on what you're putting into your brain and what you keep in there too. Because if you put something in your brain and you don't like it, get rid of it, right? So many times people hoard things in their home, whether it be items, things that they will probably never use, clothes, right? They hoard things and they do the same thing in their brain. That just leads to them having multiple thoughts in their brain or ideas or experiences that don't benefit them. So I tell people, in order to get a strong mindset, we have to take out the trash. We have to get rid of all the things that don't serve us, that don't benefit us, that are just stinking up the place, stinking up our mind. So we have to get into a cleaner mindset. But that is going to be a challenge, right? So how do we get past that challenge? And it's just going to be dealing with consistency and commitment, right? Give yourself a goal and remain consistent. Many people, even if they give themselves a goal, they don't remain consistent. Look at New Year's resolutions. There's basically a goal, but they don't stay true to it. Now, that's not everyone. Some people do, but the majority of people don't. So we have to look at the majority of people that don't do something and then figure out why they don't do it. And sometimes it's going to be dealing with their comfort zone. Sometimes it's going to be dealing with experience, that they don't know how to do something, so they don't do it. Maybe they're not confident. They don't have a belief. There's so many different factors. And that's why I always tell people, get a coach. Because if you're going on a mindset journey, you're going to want to have a mindset coach. Because if you're not happy or you're not in the place you want to be, find someone who's going to help you get to where you want to be. And it's a simple process. It doesn't take much. Many people think, oh, I'm going to be coaching with this person for years. It takes months to have a coach to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, my process took me 3 to 5 years just because of all the renditions of mindsets I had to go through. I didn't have anyone holding my hand. I didn't have anyone guiding me. I was basically doing trial and error. So now that I have gone through that trial and error experience, I can help people avoid all the pitfalls that I went through. So now you can get to where I am a lot quicker. And to me, that sounds like a great deal. You can save 3 to 5 years of your life getting into a stronger mindset just by following the process, following the coaching process, because where you are is going to be dependent on how the process works. It's not a cookie cutter program where I say, okay, well, this is step 1, let's follow step 1. This is step 2, let's follow step 2. And we go on until we finish all the steps. Now, some things we can do like that, but when it comes to mindset, we have to look at where your mind is currently. And sometimes we have to get rid of things. But we can't shock the brain too much because many people are going to be under a weak mindset, under a mindset that doesn't want significant change. Because if you want significant change and you're willing to throw everything away and start over from fresh, even if you're 40, 50 years old, that's a brave thing to do. Many people just accept what they can do or what they have, and that's their life. Many people won't dare to define new goals or new experiences in their life. So if you're the type of person who wants to get to a new mindset, who's not afraid of the challenge to getting to a new mindset, then of course, head over to revenconcepts.com and we can get you there a lot quicker. But if you don't want coaching, for example, or if you wanted to go on this journey and experience it yourself, just how I did, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but you can do it. Of course, again, head over to revenconcepts.com, go over to the video tab, go to YouTube, the podcast, the blogs. There's so many free resources that you can utilize to help you get to a new, better, stronger mindset. I will say it's not going to be easy, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And even if you have a coach, it's going to be a lot of work. So don't be afraid of the challenge. Don't be afraid of the work, because when you start to put your thoughts in order and you start to fill your mind with some good things, then your life starts to fill with more good things than it already has. It's a simple mindset shift. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach here in Austin, Texas. If you have any questions, of course, email me. If you want to work with me, head over to my website, revenconcepts.com. I will see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.